The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And today we are talking about Love is Blind, Season 6, Episodes 1 through 6. Oof, this was a doozy.
Yes.
A real doozy.
Well, luckily this show is addictive and they just go from one episode into the next.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like a slog, but yeah.
Well, there are certainly moments right before they are going to reveal. I have to admit that I did fast forward a little bit. Like, I don't need you to tell me how you're feeling over and over and over and over again. You know, I got it.
We got it. Got your story.
Yeah. But I mean, overview, what did you think of this season in comparison to other seasons, especially after last season, which was such a disaster?
Last season was, I think it's going to be a great season. And unfortunately, is because of these shitty men.
Oh, God, the men are the worst.
They really are. I mean, a couple of them are okay so far. You know, a couple are problematic right out the gate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and some of them look like they could be problematic. I mean, I don't know. I just kept thinking, God, these poor young women, you know, it's like there's these beautiful, accomplished women and they have to go through this bullshit just to get some mediocre guy.
Yeah. I was in the middle of episode 2 when I went over and hugged my husband. I'm like, I said, I love you. These guys are the worst. They are the absolute worst.
And I try to cut them some slack because they're young, but they're not that young. They're all like 30-ish, except for...
Well, there's some 27-year-olds. Yeah, there's a lot of 27,
and
30.
Kenneth, he's only 25.
Yes. Well, and but Matthew is 36. So he should definitely know better. I mean, of anyone.
Wait, which Matthew? The one that...
the creepy one. The one. The AD one. Was there another Matt?
I don't know. For a minute, I can't... The names. I just... The names haunt me. It's like, who? What? Matthew? Who's Matthew?
Okay. Yes. So there were a lot of triangles and squares. I don't know how to describe the 4 with the people on the end. There was a few of those. And then there were a few that were straightforward. So today we're going to go through, because it's a lot of episodes, we're just going to go through each of the couples and their stories and their triangles and, what we think is going to happen in the future. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the easy ones or the hard ones?
Well, let's get the easy ones out of the way. But let's just warn people that if you don't know who the couples are, if you've only watched a couple of episodes, we're going to spoil everything.
Yeah. So if you have not watched all 6, pause the show, go watch the rest and come back.
Okay, so who do you think here is the easy couple?
Think the ones that are most solid, the one that is most solid is Johnny and Amy.
Yeah.
And they get engaged first. And usually that's what we see this pattern of 2 people where there's no triangle. They're each their person. They connect. There's very few problems and they get engaged pretty quickly in the process. Yeah. I don't know if it's so quick in terms of, in that week or however long they're dating each other.
Yeah, we have no idea how many days they're there or when these proposals are taking place. So it's kind of a mystery. But Amy, I don't understand what her job is. She's like an e-commerce consultant or something.
Yeah,
like that.
A lot of these jobs were very much like, what is that? Huh? Yeah.
And he is again, I think something in finance or, he's got a respectable job.
Where are they in South Carolina, North Carolina?
North Carolina, Charlotte.
So they're in Charlotte. Okay, got it. Okay, that's what I thought. But a lot of times one person was like, well, I'm from LA and I'm from New Jersey and I'm here. And I'm like, wait, huh? It was like, originally from there.
Okay. But we don't know. Remember a couple seasons ago, they recruited, that was the one that was in Seattle, I think. And they recruited some people from Portland. But because like Johnny, I remember he said he's from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. He's never been out of the country. Amy actually was born in Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States. But, she's a little more worldly, and she had to come here to the United States and as a young child and, try to fit in all of that. Well, she seems very sweet.
Yeah. I mean, her story is all about her younger brother and having this younger brother who's autistic and will have special needs, and basically saying to Johnny, like, listen, at some point in my life, I may have to take over the care of my brother, and I need to be with someone who's going to be okay with that. And he said, yeah. So there's really been no issues between the two of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, they just kind of talked about their childhoods, and they just really clicked. I can't think of anything really negative to say. And then when they meet in person, they're all over each other. They're making out. They were making out with tongue kissing. I mean,
yeah, they liked each other. I was like, they're going to do it right here on this floor.
Right on that bench where they
all sit down. Should probably clean off the bench between couples
I hope
now.
They disinfect that bench between, because I don't know, there's like a lot of heavy petting going on the bench.
This, of any of the seasons, I have to say, this one I felt like was the most, like, everybody was really attracted to everybody else. Even though they're dysfunctional, they were all attracted to each other. We did not see anything of what happened. Was it last year? Was last year? No, last year wasn't even Irina and that whole thing. That was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. But there is I don't think we'll get to these two. I don't think Jimmy's attracted to Chelsea at all.
Oh, well, I think I know why.
Last year, it was the guy, JP.
Yes.
Said he wasn't attracted to this beautiful woman because she wore too much makeup.
Yeah. Though once they got to Mexico, she wasn't wearing makeup at all for a while. Like, she just had heavy makeup on for that. And I'm sorry, you're on camera. You're on camera. Yeah. I've had my makeup done for being on camera. And it's like, it's a lot heavier than what I would wear.
Yeah.
And fake eyelashes and all of that. But it looks better on camera. So, I mean, I think for the most part, but they seem to be really liking each other, and that's it. I mean, he was really like, whoa, she's gorgeous. I mean, and she did say that she normally wouldn't have approached him, which I can believe, because I think
she usually likes Latin men. And, she would never approach him. But once she knew his personality or whatever, she truly didn't care what he looked like.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's unattractive.
No, he's cute. Yeah. He's just more of a different type, you know, with the longer hair and
light hair, light skin, light eyes, all that.
Yeah. So they seem to be okay. We'll see.
Hopefully.
We never know.
See.
Oh, God. And then the next couple after that I think would be Brittany and Kenneth.
Yeah.
Which those two seem like they're 45.
They do. They're very serious.
Yes.
Especially Kenneth. And
they are the youngest ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's 24 and he's 25. I'm like, my God, you two are old.
Yeah. Well, they're both very, into their faith. They're Christians, and they talk a lot about that, and they bond about that. And Kenneth also, he's a, excuse me, like you said, he's only 25, but he's a middle school principal.
Yeah. That's
impressive.
It is, because, to become a principal, I don't know what about the state of North Carolina, but in California, because I've had clients go through it, in California, you don't necessarily have to have taught, but you have to have the master's degree.
Yeah.
And then you also have to go through out here. You have to go through like a year. I had a client do this, like a year and a half of training. And then, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a little bit more complicated. So it's almost kind of like he went right from college to the master's degree to into this training, and this might be his first job.
Yeah,
that's bizarre.
Yeah, he probably graduated high school early or something. He must have gotten a early start. Well, he did say that, that his mother died when he was 12. And that he basically had to organize the funeral, wrote and gave the eulogy. And he said he grew up like that fast, like right away when that happened. So yeah, I think he's kind of been on his own, taking care of himself. It was since he was 12. It sounded like.
Yes.
I didn't hear anything about a father or anything. I'm sure that'll come up more down the road.
And her story, right? She said that her dad died when she was 5, and he was an alcoholic, and basically his liver went out. And her whole thing, and her mom was a twin, and her twin so her mom's twin died. And then Brittany was born 1 year later as a miracle. And apparently she looks just like her aunt. So the mom always says, I never had to live without my sister, my twin, because I have you. So
that's a lot to put on a kid.
Yes, it is a lot to put on a kid. So it makes sense why the both of them are so mature, that they've both gone through a lot very early on. And she, I mean, it's she wants to be very submissive to her man. She really wants him, like they want they both seem to want a very traditional marriage.
Yeah. They're not going to have sex before marriage.
Yes.
Again,
unlike some of the other couples.
How long? Yeah.
Well, but I wonder if, I guess, I don't know. They're probably not going to get into it, but yeah, we have a lot of hope for those two, but then we see the scenes for upcoming episodes and you're like, ooh.
Yeah. It always falls apart when they get, when they leave their vacation and they have to go move in together, it's rarely smooth sailing.
But I thought it was a very interesting conversation that he had with AD, who we'll get into, in Dominican Republic, when the two of them were talking about, like, have you ever dated someone outside of your race? What is Brittany, is Brittany up for all of this? This is going to be challenging. And I just thought it was a very interesting conversation the two of them were having about, like, this is going to be different. And he's concerned too. He's also kind of like, I'm going to go back to people who know me and respect me and tell me I fell in love with someone and, that I never saw before and married them. And, he's worried about how people, less, I think, about the race piece and more about how quickly this is all happening.
Yeah. And he asked her, when they were still in the pods, he, I forget how he put it, but he basically asked her, like, do you know I'm black? She's like, yeah, I think I could tell. And, he confirms that to her.
Yeah.
And then he asked her, well, what would your family think about that? Would they have a problem with it? And she very quickly says, oh, they would have no problem at all. And I thought to myself, I mean, this is kind of the South. I don't know. I know it's North Carolina, but I don't know if it's considered South adjacent anyway. And, there are still a lot of race issues.
Oh, yeah.
Unresolved race issues in our country. So I don't know how smooth that's going to go, but we'll find out.
Well, he's definitely thinking about it a lot more than she's thinking about it, because he's had to think about it a hell of a lot more than she's had to think about it, for sure. I thought it was funny too that he assumed that she was blonde and that, she looks so different from what he expected.
And also when she's with him, she's much more animated and she kind of seems kind of dingy. I don't know, like, because when she's in the pods and she's talking to the other women, she's not as animated. I think she sort of puts on, I seemed like she was really laying it on with him, but I don't know. Maybe it was just excitement. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I always say this when we cover this show. I think there's such tremendous amount of pressure to find someone, to pick someone, and to make this entire process for yourself worthwhile. Even if you necessarily don't want to be quote unquote famous, but and use this platform. I think that people feel like if I'm going to go through all of this, hey, I want the free trip to the DR. I want all of this, whatever I'm going to get from this. And so I do wonder if she also is maybe just saying the things that she thinks, she needs to say, or maybe he's doing it too. I don't know. I don't know. But yes, there are we see some that we haven't seen any red flags. she talks about how attentive he is, like to the other women when they get to the DR. So
yeah, he's very respectful.
Yes.
And unlike some of the other men who have more
all right
issues.
Yes. So those are the two that are most together as couples. So then we have, do you want to hit the AD Clay, Laura, Jeremy?
Well, let's get Laura and Jeremy out of the way.
Okay. Because Jeremy, who spells his name Jeramy, that is so irritating.
Yeah.
I know that's not probably his fault, it's his parents.
Yeah, it's his parents.
But I was a little nervous about Laura, and I was not surprised to see cracks in the DR. What was your take?
Well, yeah, individually they both seem great. And then, when they're very happy with when they see each other face to face, they seem to like each other, be attracted to each other. But, their personalities, I think, are going to clash.
Yeah.
So like she's bossy. Like she tells him, literally, it's not even a joke, because he has all these Hawaiian shirts and she's like, you need to stop wearing those shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I love my Hawaiian shirts. And she's like, no, I'm serious. And I guess he has a bunch of motorcycles, and she told him, well, you can keep one motorcycle, but you can't have all these motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's like they've known each other 2 days and she's already like telling him what to do, like she's his mother.
Yeah. Well, no, that was day one in the DR.
Yeah.
She was already criticizing the Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is Laura kind of concerned me, because I think that she comes across as a very strong person and a very forceful person. And she says literally a lot, and literally all the time. And she also has a very, I don't know how to explain it. She has a very bold presence, and it's not a bad thing. It's just this feeling of, you get the sense with her that she thinks she's right about everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's not a lot of like, well, hey, that's their life, or hey, that's fine. Or I think she wants to come across as low maintenance, but she's really high maintenance.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. And I know we shouldn't be saying that about women, about maintenance or high maintenance or whatever, but she's just not a very, I don't know what the word is. It's
not real warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. And we didn't learn anything about her. Like, I'm looking through my notes and I'm like, I don't know anything about this person. I don't know what you do. She said something at one point about like, I have employees and I don't want to, and I'm like, so what maybe I missed what her job is when I was going through all these people. Like, I don't even think in the beginning I wrote her name down, because she didn't seem to be part of it. She seemed more active in the women's quarters. She just seemed like the alpha of the women's quarters. Yeah. And there's something about that I think is very interesting, Yeah.
And he is more laid back and kind of, he's very much like, he's always kind of telling dad jokes.
Yeah. He's very goofy.
He's goofy. And they both like to kind of poke at each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, it's going to get old after a while. And especially when, she starts laying down the law about, getting rid of this and that and doing this and that. I think they're going to crash and burn. Like right now they seem to really be into each other, but I don't know.
Ooh, but at the end of that last episode, things were not good, and then we see some things happening in the future, and that's what that whole. So we should back up and say that there was a triangle.
Yeah.
So Jeremy had Laura, and he had Sarah Ann, and he was going back and forth between the two of them. Sarah Ann he described her as a little bit edgier. And we can see Laura Ann, combine their names. So Sarah Ann is 29. I didn't get what her job is, but she's interesting because he starts to ask her questions like, how many followers do you have? And
I think she's like an influencer. Admittedly, she's not shy about it.
And then he asks her, do you have an OnlyFans account? And she says, yes. And then she's joking. I was like, oh, thank God. But, she mentions that she has Botox. She mentions this. Filler. I think my face is drooping, the filler. So I think that's maybe what triggered him to ask, like, let me ask you some questions about this. What's going on? But I thought that if I saw someone like Jeremy, I am really surprised these were the two women he was going back and forth with, which really seemed odd to me. Because we hear a lot about him and his life, and he's a construction worker, and his father died when he was 19, and that was really difficult. And, you know, one of the one motorcycle Laura will let him keep is the one his father gave him, you know. But he talks a lot about, you know, his past and all of that. And I think that he is like these other men that we're meeting, just kind of wanting kind of someone to really empathize with him. As much as he pokes, he wants to be the poker. Yeah. He wants to poke, and he wants someone who's going to kind of laugh and be a little bit more like, oh, you're so silly, and appreciate that about him.
Yes. One thing that I think all of these men on this season have in common, except for maybe one, they all need a lot of validation.
Yes. Oh, God.
From women. They're all seeking validation. And I think he is seeking it not so much in a toxic way like some of the others, but in a way that, he's been hurt. Like, you know, he tells Sarah Ann that he would really love to take her to Florida to see his father's gravesite. Mm-hmm. That's kind of, you know, that's very telling. You know, that's like, that's at the forefront of his mind. And I don't know what happened after his father passed away. But obviously, I mean, to me, he kind of seems like just like a wounded child who just needs love.
Yeah. Or maybe that he's sort of stuck at 19 when his father died, that he just hasn't moved forward, because I can see how really, you know, he likes to go and read a book by his father's grave and spend a lot of time there. I don't know. Yeah. I'm okay. I mean, that's fine. One thing that I thought was really interesting about Sarah Ann is he starts asking her questions. And I do wonder if this is maybe an issue, because he asks her about not necessarily politics, but she does say, I am conservative. What does she say? She says she's more conservative in that she's a patriot. Yeah. And I don't know what that means.
Well, read between the lines.
Yeah. So, but
they start talking about abortion, and it's just like,
they were
like,
and she seems to, I don't know. I thought that was interesting, because these conversations in Love is Blind never get this way. No. They never get this far. We never learn that much.
Or at least they never show it.
Oh, that's true. They never show it. And I thought that was interesting. It's like, why are you showing us this between them? And I don't know if it was to show how, I don't know. Sarah Ann has a lot of fillers, so her reactions seem a little deadened, but she was, I think, genuinely shocked when he picked Laura over her, because he was telling her, and a lot of these men are doing this, they are telling both, the men who are in these triangles are telling both women
we found
really, really personal things, either the same thing or very personal things. So if you go to if you're dating someone and they're telling you things like about their father, and I want to take you to my father's grave, and I want to do this with you, and I want to do that with you, then of course they're shocked when they pick the other person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, because if you're going to open up to people, you are going to end up telling the same story, because you're telling your story. You're opening up to people. And then, the women, when they start comparing notes, you know, they get upset about that. And, you know, but I think some of it is, well, of course he's going to tell you about this or that, because that's his life. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I know. Yeah. If someone's opening up to you like that, you think, oh, they must really trust me and like me. And then they dump you. And it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Well, and I think that obviously you're right. His father dying at 19 is his life. I want to take you to my father's grave is the thing that is egregious, right? Is the part that it's a little bit, you know, it's one thing to tell your story, and it's another thing to say this, I want to do this with you, and I want to do that with you.
Right. Talking about the future. Yeah.
And I don't know. I think this is maybe a difference between men and women. I think women really do take those things very, very seriously, as if that means that you're closer to me.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever, if I was in my 20s, I don't think I could ever do this, this Love is Blind. Like having to have these conversations, and then if you're sad, having to deal with everyone's sad looks at you, or if you're happy, having to either contain the happiness or feel really awkward about it. The whole thing is so weird.
Yeah. And then it's broadcast to millions of people.
Yes.
Yeah. It really, that's the other thing, is the type of person that would sign up for this is a certain type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And Sarah Ann did say she would do this again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I wonder if, because at one point Jeremy said Laura is my number one, but I do wonder if maybe Sarah Ann didn't have as many followers and maybe didn't mention the Botox and didn't mention some of these other things. I wonder if Jeremy picked Laura because it seemed like the safer bet. And because Jeremy did say, oh, I wouldn't want to go through this again. This is really hard. And I don't want to, again, that pressure of like, I'm not going to do this again. So let me pick someone of these two people. And I think that's the problem when you get into the situation where you have this certain number of people to choose from. You then are interested in two people. And what happens is people sit there and they compare the two people constantly, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Is Sarah Ann better than Laura? Laura better than Sarah Ann? And the thing is that, and I have clients who get into this all the time, and I'm always saying, like, you've got to get rid of the other person. Like, get Sarah Ann out of your mind and really focus on, is it Laura? Because that's what happens. You can't compare these two people. It might be neither of them, which is what happens in the end many times. But that's the thing. When they start to compare, then maybe you're picking one person that maybe is a little more compatible, but maybe is never like neither of them are truly compatible. So, anyway. All right.
We'll see. I have a feeling Sarah Ann is coming back.
Oh, no, we see that. Because in the previews, I think Jeremy might have stepped out on Laura.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Somebody, we don't know who, had sex with one of the other contestants that, when they bring those people back. Mm-hmm. So we don't know who it is.
But I thought it was Laura that was yelling.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. They do it where the voice is kind of ambiguous and the camera might be on somebody else, not necessarily the person who's saying that. So
okay, I got to go back and watch that coming up again.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was whew. All right. So then let's go to our two most problematic couples that are really, really, one couple I think already knows they're problematic. Another couple doesn't realize it yet.
Which is which?
Well, I think AD and Clay think that they're great, and this is a disaster. Do you want to start with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to say, AD is my favorite person on the show.
Yes, I like her the most. And
she's just, I don't know, she's just fun, funny, beautiful. She's obviously done a lot of work on herself.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's also 32. Again, I like to say, I say this every year that we cover this, but there's certain thing about maturity that it helps tremendously,
Yeah. So she's a real estate
in Matthew's case.
Yeah. She's a real estate broker.
She's a cheerleader for the Patriots.
She's a former Patriots cheerleader. She's just like a strong, self-reliant woman. I just really like her. But she has daddy issues.
Oh, yes.
and
she's a fixer. She is a fixer.
What does she call a fix-a-hoe? Or
yeah. Yes. But beyond that, she really likes wounded men. Yeah. She really likes wounded men. And we see that very clearly with Matthew. So do you want to describe Matthew? Because at first I was like, is he on the spectrum? Are we missing something? What's happening here with him?
Before we get to him, to explain why she was even talking to him. So she hooks up in the pods with Clay, who also has daddy issues.
Yes. What did he say? Clay was a lot for me. So I think sometimes when he talked, I tuned him out. But what are his daddy issues?
So he see if I wrote this down. Basically, his dad was a player. And he kind of modeled himself after that.
That's right.
He had like a lot of, he said he had a lot of swag or something like that. And
Clay is a very good looking guy, really tall, handsome, 30. I think he's in sales, some kind of tech sales, whatever that means. And you can tell he's the life of the party. He's person that everyone flocks to.
Yeah. He's very charismatic, but she can tell that like this is the kind of guy that she's been dating her whole life. And she doesn't want that. You know, she specifically says, I don't want, I mean, as much as Clay feels familiar to her, she's like, I don't want that. And so we'll get back to Clay. But so after he tells her some things where she's just kind of going, oh God, I don't know about this. She starts talking to this guy, Matthew, who I kind of think that he was putting on an act.
Yeah.
I think his entire persona was an act. So they introduce him. You see him going on several dates in the pods, and he's extremely awkward. He's got like a list of questions that he's like, pick a number and I'll ask you that number on my list, you know? And so he asked a question, they answer. And one woman said, well, how would you answer that question? And he's like, oh, I thought I was just going to be asking questions, not answering questions. And they show him a couple times just walking out of the pod in the middle of the day. And it could be editing. I don't know what it is, but they clearly set him up to be kind of like this weirdo.
Yeah.
And,
but you see him in the men's quarters and someone will say to him, oh, hey, Matthew, I'm making a sandwich. Would you like a sandwich? And he's like, no, and walks away. Like never a thank you, never acknowledgement. That's what all the men are saying about him in the quarters, that he's kind of rude and standoffish and won't talk to anybody. So that's why I'm like, is this an act? Because you have to, could he put that act together for 24 hours a day?
I think so. I mean, maybe he's trying, he's also hyper aware that he's on a television show and everybody's going to be watching this, because at the end, so after he and AD kind of connect, and she is attracted to him because he's kind of the anti-Clay. Otherwise, I don't think she really would have liked him.
But also, I think that she also, and what we saw was that he went on all these disastrous dates, and that she was sort of the first person that really slowed down with him. All the other women were like, what the, and it was over and they all hated him. But she was the one that was kind of like digging a little bit. And I think she was the one that was like slow with him and kind to him, almost like bringing him out of his shell a little bit. And I think that I think he liked that because he felt like, oh, I'm being seen and I'm being heard for whether or not this is, I don't know, if it's an act, then maybe that's not really how he feels. But I think on her end, I think she's thinking to herself, she's feeling like, and I know this as a therapist, that there's that feeling of, oh, I'm breaking through with someone, I'm connecting to them. And there's a lot of ego attached to that. A lot of like, I can do this and other people can't. And I can imagine if you're, dating all these people, she did something with Matthew that no one else could.
Yeah. And she's obviously very good at validating men.
Yes.
You can tell, but that's been her pattern, like to her detriment, where she just spends all of her time validating these men and they don't return it. And, and they treat her shitty. So yeah, she really was like listening to him, and and then they got, they got real serious real fast. Like talking about, oh, he was saying, I just want to leave here with you right now. And some of the stuff he was saying, I was just kind of like, oh, this seems fake. And then at the very end when, she ends it with him because she finds out from another girl, Amber, that who's also talking to him, that he is telling both of them the exact same thing, down to the, oh, I want to leave here with you today, talking, these romantic proclamations. And they both figure it out, and they're both just like, I'm out of here. Like Amber leaves, she just goes home. And then AD talks to Matthew again, like one more time. And he's he says, yeah, Amber left or something. He knew that she had left. And AD basically told him, this isn't, this is done. This is over. And then he says, well, millions of people are going to see this. And, he's something about how I'm like the underdog and people really like an underdog. It was like he had mapped out in his head what his character was going to be, how people were going to react to him, how he was going to come off on television. It just seems so fake to me.
Yeah. And well, there's so many weird parts of this. One is, why wouldn't the producer show us his conversations with Amber?
Yeah.
We didn't see a lot of Amber. And I mean,
I barely see them dating at all. We didn't see them talking in the pods at all.
So why didn't we see? Because I would think that they would do a thing where they like rewind and go back in time.
And yeah.
And I thought they would show us all of the conversations he was having with Amber. So why didn't we see those conversations? I do believe Amber, because Amber's reactions were very real. She like came into the pod, didn't hear anything that AD had said, and was repeating everything verbatim. So it was very obvious. The other thing that was odd was, AD's reaction to him when he was telling her all this stuff, she was like, oh, wow, really? Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Like her reaction to him was so strange. It was, I think in the back of her mind, she kind of knew like something's off about this. I don't know. I just, the way in which she was reacting to him, but she did say that. And this is what she said to Matthew. She said, you took everything that I said that I wanted, that was important to me, and you basically spun it and set it back and told me exactly what you wanted to hear. So I don't know I don't know if Matthew came into this thinking like, oh, I'll be an awkward guy and then someone will bring me out of my shell and then I'll be the underdog and then everyone will love me. But why do that with two different women? This is going to come out. Like, these men are really dumb. Like, you've got to, everything that you say is going to come out in some way, shape, or form. I'm sorry. Especially when it comes to a group of women in a thing together. Yeah.
They talk for
the men talk, but women really talk. Yeah.
Yeah. For the most part, there's some women who can, refrain from that. But for the most part, they talk.
Yeah.
And they tell each other these things. But I don't know. I don't know what he thought was going to happen. But it just didn't seem real. I think he slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he's going to come back in some form, in some way.
Oh gosh.
I just have a feeling. But
do you think he went and found Amber somewhere? Poor Amber.
I don't know. Maybe they hook up. I mean, I'm sure he's going to come back to, if they're going to do it the same way this year, like they have been doing it. They have some sort of barbecue or something where they bring back the people that were part of these triangle
experiments,
everything, the experiments. And they just see what happens,
Let's all like throwing animals in a cage. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. When you see what someone looks like and you're like, oh God. Yeah.
But anyway, so Matthew then disappears and then he's gone. He's just gone. Off, out. And then Amber's gone. She's gone.
Yeah. But the editing on this, you never know what you're watching or what's happening or what day it is or what stage this is in. It really, that's why the first couple episodes of watching this show is so difficult. You're just kind of like, what is happening?
You don't know who to focus on.
No.
So then let's talk a little bit more about Clay, because Clay. So Clay, one thing that really upsets AD pretty early on, she's still sort of talking to Matthew at this time, is he said, I don't think I can marry anyone without knowing what they look like. And AD was very taken aback about that because she was like, but this is the whole, like, I wrote down, why are you on the show, Clay? Like, what are you doing? If you need to know what they look like, that's fine. That's fine, Clay. That is not a bad thing. But why do you do this show? That's the plan. So she's very taken aback about this. And she's, because she's a very beautiful woman. And I think that that's been one of the things is she really wants to meet someone who's going to like her for her and not the way in which she looks. So she is upset and kind of repulsed by him and kind of like, checks out. And that's when she and Matthew were deep in there in the height of their relationship.
Yeah. She was like, again, she's okay. Here's someone who's like the anti-Clay. Let me talk to him for a while. Let me see if there's something there. And then And then after, Matthew gets exposed and gets kicked to the curb, or no, maybe it was before then.
Well, no. So what happens is that she learns that Matthew's saying the same things to everybody. Mm-hmm. Then she confronts Matthew, and then they have that conversation where he says, well, fine, I'm just going to go get Amber, and leaves. Mm-hmm. And then her next date is with Clay, and Clay apologizes. Clay comes back and he apologizes and he says, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. You're right. This is why we're here, all this kind of stuff. And then AD in that same conversation tells him about the fact that she's talking to someone else, and who's the someone else? And she says Matthew, and the minute he hears that she's talking to someone else, again, Clay, this is what everyone's doing.
Right.
The minute she has someone else, he starts like circling. He's circling like a tiger, like an animal, just like ready to pounce. You're just like, what is happening? And it was instantaneous too.
Yeah. And he's also insulted that not only is she talking to someone else, but it's Matthew.
Yeah.
Who he can't believe that he's in competition with this guy because he's so, in his mind.
Yeah. So much better.
Superior. Yeah.
How could you ever even want Matthew? He's so weird. He's so this, he's so that. And he's livid. It's just like, okay.
He's really upset and angry, and he's almost yelling at her. And if this had not been being filmed, he would have been full on yelling at her. And luckily he couldn't get to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be worried for her safety. He was so amped up. It was not good.
And then the next time, so then again, we see the cycle. The cycle is starting to happen. We're seeing it already, which is, again, Clay goes back to the men's quarters, somehow, I don't know, gets himself together. And then they have another date. And then again, Clay apologizes to AD for his behavior. And then all of a sudden it was like a flip of the switch. It was like, now they're in love. Yeah. And they just from then on, AD is a smart woman, but I was just like, you're not talking about anything. It's just all these like affirmations and we're this and we're that.
Great, black love, we're the best. Like,
I'm going to treat you like a queen that you deserve. And I'm going to be the king and you're going to do this and I'm going to do that. But there was no discussion of, and again, or they didn't show it to us. There's no discussion of, hey, Clay, what's going on with you here?
Well, or also, something real about their lives. Like, okay, if we do get married, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to live our lives? Like, what are your values? Like, they could have talked about all that stuff. They did not highlight any of it. And the way Amber AD so very quickly just fell back in line with this relationship where a couple of days ago, you're telling us you do not want this kind of relationship. Mm-hmm. You know what a relationship with Clay is going to be like. It's going to be like every other one of your relationships. And you're saying you want something different. He must have said more than that to get her to.
Well, I think what it was she came in thinking, this is what I want. I'm going to do that. Then she sort of sees that maybe I'm going to get this in Matthew. Then Matthew turns out to be a jerk. Mm-hmm. And I think in her mind, I think it was almost kind of like, well, maybe I don't, it's almost like she's like, maybe I can't trust myself. Maybe I need to go back because I'm really attracted to Clay and I like him. So maybe I'm missing something here because I think she doesn't trust that she knows what's best for her. And she does. If she really trusted that, she would realize like, okay, neither of these guys are right. I got to get out of here.
Maybe she said, well, look, I tried going out on a limb and look what happened.
Yeah.
So
why go out on limbs?
Why go out on a limb? I know what I'm getting with Clay. She can probably tell he's hot. It's like, I'm sure he's told her
how hot he is.
I'm sure he has told her all the stats. So she probably knows what she's getting. Yeah.
Yeah. So but he just talks to her in like these positive affirmations. Yeah. But it's very, very, very clear very early on that Clay needs a tremendous amount of validation and that Clay really likes being a baby.
He does. He wants to be babied.
He wants to be babied. And they talk about that he wants to put his head in her lap and she baby him. Yes, that's what he wants. And he says it many times. He wants to be babied.
Yeah.
And oh my Lord.
And he literally does when they meet for the first time face to face. Of course, they're both stunning.
Yeah.
Looking people. Although Amber she could probably dial the eyelashes down.
Amber or AD?
AD, sorry. Well, her name is Amber.
Oh, it is?
It's Amber Desiree, but she goes by AD.
Okay.
But anyway, the eyelashes are a bit much for me sometimes. But otherwise, she's gorgeous. He's gorgeous. They see each other. They're all over each other. He's very happy with what he sees.
Yeah, because she's beautiful. Yeah.
And then she actually shows off her body, kind of twirls around like, hey, do you like what you see? The exact same thing she said she didn't want, didn't want the focus to be on. So she's just falling right in line with with Clay. And they sit down on that bench, and again, there's a lot of touching. His hands are everywhere. And his hands are like just going all over the place.
Yeah.
And he's calling her baby, and then he literally puts his head in her bosom.
Yes. Yeah. Trust me, he would start suckling if he could. If he thought it was socially acceptable, he would be. Because hello, beep, like red, beep, 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 red flag alert.
Yeah.
What?
I'm curious. I can't wait to meet Clay's parents.
Yes. I want to meet his mother. I want to meet his mother and his father. Oh my gosh.
And his father.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't. We didn't hear anything about his mother, but there's got to be some mommy issues too.
Yes.
If he wants to be a baby.
Yes. But he tells her so many times too, in the pods and out of the pods, like, I need you to validate me. I'm going to need validation. And then we already see when they're in the DR, we already see things. Obviously in the beginning, it's all great because he's just like, "Ooh, she looks so good." And he can't
see her in a bathing suit.
Yeah. He can barely handle it. But they get into this whole question or this whole conversation about like, if she said something about, I don't like to eat, have a lot of sugar. I don't want to have calories that aren't going to, work for me kind of thing. And he says, he's like, "Oh, I've never counted calories." And everyone's gone, "Fuck you, Clay."
Yeah, we don't want to hear it.
Fuck you. I don't have time for you. But also she says, well, he basically says to her, if she ever gets fat, he's going to tell her. Like, hey, and he's going to tell her by saying, "Hey, it's time for you to go to the gym."
Yeah, and he's going to get her a trainer. He'll train her. I don't know. Wow.
And she's sort of she's trying to say to him, well, at some point I'm going to have a baby and I'm going to be big and it's going to happen. He's like, yeah. And right after you have that baby, you're going to get into that gym and you're going to work that way. He was very clear. Like, he is not going to put up with you not looking as good as you do right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I've been there. My ex, is a former bodybuilder.
Uh-huh.
And when I met him, I was like the thinnest, smallest I've been in my life. And even then there was pressure to that's soul crushing. That's going to be fun for her.
Well, and also I'm sorry, but she's going to get older. She's going to, we're both in our 50s. Like, it's hard, to lose weight and perimenopausal and all this kind of stuff. But I don't get it. But she wants him to go, this is the thing that he does that keeps her on the hook, which is she wants him to go to therapy. He's like, yeah, I want to go to couples counseling with you. I want to figure this stuff out. I want to be a better man. I want to do all these things. And I think, unfortunately, if they do get married, he is going to cheat on her so quickly if he doesn't cheat on her before the wedding. And because I think he just needs a tremendous validation. He needs the validation. He cannot, and you are not going to be able to have validation. I was just thinking to myself, if these two make it down the aisle and they have a child, the minute she puts her child, which she's going to have to do, ahead of him, it's going to be, he's going to lose his goddamn mind. Yeah, it's going to be too much for him.
He's no longer the baby anymore.
Yeah, because there's another baby there.
There's a new baby.
But I think that's what hooks her in. Like, yes, I'm going to go to therapy with you. Yes, I want to be a better man. Yes,
all the promises.
But she, and I think she likes that. She likes she likes to fix people. She likes messes. She likes this stuff.
She thinks he's putting in effort. And I think she even uses those words that he's putting in the effort. Well, no, he's just saying a bunch of, he's making a bunch of, not even promises, he's just saying things.
Yeah.
Platitudes.
Yeah. Oh, that's all he talks in. It's all he talks in. But also he doesn't seem to know anything about marriage to the point of like men wear rings. He's not. Hell no, is he going to wear a ring?
He's not going to wear a ring. That's going
to get in his way of meeting other women to validate him.
That's going to interfere with his game. No.
Yeah. But he didn't seem to know anything. It was like, so if you know nothing about marriage, why are you anyway?
Yeah, I think Clay on this show. How did he get on the show?
I do not know. I don't know. I don't. They were like, we have to have at least one player. We just have to. Let's see.
These other guys are just too nice. It's like,
but they're not. They look like nice guys, but they're
covertly, covertly, kind of trying to look nice. But I think he even says at one point when he was on his kind of apology tour after he blew up at her, he said, I'd never seen the show before. I didn't know anything about the show. And I'm just like, well, I don't know if that's true, but it kind of makes sense. I mean, they do casting for this. They go on like dating apps. Mm-hmm. They go on Instagram. It's not just people coming to them.
Yeah.
They reach out to people. So I'm sure they needed someone who was outwardly just the biggest player you could find. Mm-hmm. And they found him.
Yeah. Well, do you want to get into what happens at the party when they all see each other? Because it involves...
Well, we have one more couple.
Yeah, so we'll cover this other couple because they're part of this too.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about when they all get together.
And so this last couple is Jimmy and Chelsea. But this was a very complicated triangle on top of triangle.
This is a square, actually.
This is a square, but it's like it's almost like a line. It's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Two intersecting lines.
It's something.
I was never very good at geography. Geometry. I don't even know how to, I can't even say the right word. Geometry.
Yeah. I hated those rhombuses and I hated all that. I hated geometry.
Postulates, whatever. I don't know.
And have you ever had to take a protractor out in your adult life?
In my adult life? No. Yeah. Thank God I learned how to use a protractor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're under 40, maybe
you don't even know what that is.
30, you don't know what the hell we're talking about.
We're that old.
Psych Legal Pop will be right back after these messages.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
All right. So, do you want to tell us about this little square or whatever this thing is?
This geometry problem. Okay. So, let's start with there's this guy Jimmy.
And my question, I wrote this down at one point. Why does everyone think Jimmy's so hot?
I don't know. I
don't get it.
If you close your eyes and you just listen to his voice, he kind of has that Matthew McConaughey kind of, all right.
Is that it? Yeah.
He sounds like a good time, and he talks about like, having a cold one and this and that. I think, if you close your eyes and you don't know anything more about him and you don't know what he's doing behind the scenes, I could see concocting a fantasy about him. Mm-hmm. Because he just gives off that, like, I'm a good time. I'm laid back. I'm easygoing. Oh, yeah. And he also tells people whatever they want to hear, and he agrees with everything, whether he actually agrees or not. And it really gets him in trouble. So, a lot of people like him. And especially, so there's this girl, Jessica, who looks like a Kardashian. She's very pretty. She's 28. She had a baby when she was 18. Now, she doesn't want to lead with that.
Which I understand.
Yeah. She wants, because she doesn't want guys to not give her a chance, just based on that alone. I kind of think maybe that was a mistake.
Well, yes and no. I think that none of these, I just think she was with the wrong group. Like, I just don't think any of these men could have handled this.
Well, I'm sure there was some,
that could have. She just wasn't attracted to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's true. There's probably a few other characters that maybe could have handled it. I get why she didn't want to lead with that, but I think that she probably could split the difference. Maybe she waited a little too
long. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So she keeps this from him and they really fall for each other and she's just head over heels.
Oh, yeah. And that's weird.
That is weird. We don't even see her talking to anybody else.
Yes.
Like she's like, this is my man. And, in some ways she's very mature because she has to be. Mm-hmm. And she has this real sad backstory where her parents were drug addicts and they went to prison and she was in foster care. And then her dad got out of prison and she lived with him, but then he died and she had to go back to foster care and then she got pregnant. And
he died. He committed suicide.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what happened to the mom.
And the way she refers to it, she says that after her mom at age 4, she goes into foster care when the mom kind of disappears. Mm-hmm. Then 2 years later, she's with her dad. She said, I was with my dad for 1.5 years. They were dark times, but I'm fine.
Yeah.
That's how she phrased it. So, that's a bit of a red flag.
Luckily, she ended up with this foster family who adopted her, at 16, 17, whatever. So then that way, when she got pregnant, she could keep the baby. Otherwise, that baby probably would have gone to foster care because she would have been in foster care.
Yes.
And it's very sad.
It's very sad. I mean, she's had a very, very hard life. And she says something that's very interesting. She says, if I present myself well, they will never know the chaos inside of me. So I think that Jessica, who's very pretty and very put together, I don't think I was ever this put together when my kid was young. I'm not even that put together now.
Well,
like the fake lashes, the hair, she does. She's a very pretty girl. The outfits, all of that, she looks beautiful.
We never see her without makeup.
Yes.
Or with her hair done. We never see her, she's. So on the one hand, she comes off as very strong because she has to contain all this trauma, and be a single mother and all that that's a crushing responsibility, especially at age 18. I cannot even fathom being a single. The
dad's around though. She did say that things didn't work out with the dad. They were high school sweethearts, and that he is around, and that they co-parent. So she has him, but she's had a really, really challenging, horrible life, and then all of this responsibility on her. And then what's happened now is she's very mature in some ways, and then she's so immature in other ways because it's childlike. The how she perceives true love, and what love is and what marriage is so childlike. This idea of I want to find my man, and my man's going to be this, and when I find my man, and it's a lot of like, but I know he's mine, and she just decided very early on, this person, like, great. He checked a few boxes for me, so I'm going to put all my time and attention into him, and he's going to be my man. Thinking, and I think she thinks that once she falls in love and meets somebody, life will be great. Yeah, and she'll it's like Jessica, and you will be taken care of in some ways, but Jessica, if you're out there listening, this is not it's not going to solve all your problems. It's not going to take all the pain away from your childhood. You have to work on dealing with that and figuring that out. It's not going to change those things, but I think she thinks it will. Yeah, and I don't know why she chose to come on this show again. I mean, I don't know why she can't find someone in real life, but she's very pretty. But I do think, I'm sure it is challenging because she's 28 years old. And I think the guys that she probably meets that are around her age are like want to be free and are very immature. Yeah. And truly she needs a man who's like in his early to mid 30s, who's very, who's a kind of a different person, but she has decided somewhere in her life that if I get married and again, if I get married, the world will see that I am loved and accepted and wanted.
Yeah.
So so if I have this perfect home with the perfect husband and the perfect everything, then that will make me feel good about myself. And then I will be loved and then I will be secure. And Jessica, it's not going to happen like that. I promise you. I promise you it won't.
Yeah. And I also
focus on you.
She always includes her daughter in these, the things that she says, as she should. But also I get this feeling that maybe she feels guilty. She's trying to find the perfect guy, for her too. Mm-hmm. Like she feels guilty that there's not this, that her daughter doesn't live in a 2-parent home. And it's, the daughter's all tied up in all of this. This is very complicated.
It's very complicated.
And it should not be being worked out on Love is Blind.
No. And it shouldn't, and Jimmy should not be a part of it.
Jimmy should not be a part of it at all. Okay. So then
that's those two.
That's those two.
Yeah.
Now Jimmy is also talking to a woman named Chelsea.
Oh, and Chelsea, I could tell very early on Chelsea was a piece of work. Chelsea came off as the quote unquote cool girl with the sleeve of tats.
I
was like, oh no, I can see the cracks.
I thought she was, in the beginning, I thought she was the most normal one, but then I realized it was because she wasn't really saying much. She was just kind of like, as soon as we started hearing more from her, it was like, oh God. So Jimmy is also talking to Chelsea. So just to back up a little bit, Jessica finally tells Jimmy that she has a 10-year-old daughter. And you can just see, but this guy's not good at controlling his facial reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell immediately, even though the words are coming out of his mouth, that it's like, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. No, that's not a problem at all. But the look on his face tells something very different. And he even says outside of the pods that basically he doesn't want someone with baggage.
Mm-hmm.
So then when he's talking to Chelsea, she reveals that she had been married before.
And he learns this, all in the same day.
Yeah.
So you have to give him a little bit, like the second time around, just like, holy crap, what's happening?
Right.
So I give him that much.
Right. So Chelsea was married when she was 18 and she was married for 5 years. And, now she's like 32 or something. But he's upset about that too. He considers that to be baggage too. And so Jimmy also has this image in his mind of the perfect wife and the perfect woman. And he wants, with no baggage, baggage allowed.
Yes, yes.
I think he's very superficial. The ironic part is that Jessica meets his physical expectations, I'm sure. He would have been thrilled.
Well, yes. Because so something happens here with this where he learns all this stuff from both of them. He kind of recovers. He doesn't handle it very well, but he recovers for both, and he comes back around and he apologizes to Jessica and says, okay, let's keep going. And but that's a really critical moment. And he also goes back to Chelsea and explains to her, I also learned something else that day that's very difficult. And then they have this conversation, which I feel like, you can tell me I'm wrong. I feel like Chelsea did this on purpose, which is, I don't know how much they're told or not told ahead of time, how much they can reveal about how they look.
Mm-hmm.
And so what she tells him is, oh, well, I get compared. I think she asked the question. Well, no, do you ever get or did he ask the question?
He asked, do people ever say, because he's trying to elicit information.
Yeah.
Do people ever say you look like a certain celebrity?
Mm-hmm.
And she says,
oh, God. And she's kind of vague about it at first, but she knows exactly I feel like she knows exactly what she's doing. She's like, oh, well, that girlfriend of Machine Gun Kelly, MKG. And he's like, Megan Fox? She's like, yeah, but not really. Ha ha ha.
That's just because we both have dark hair and light eyes.
Yeah, it's not really like that.
Because she's a flight attendant and she sees a lot of people, and people always say that's the one thing she gets. They say, you look like Megan Fox.
Yeah.
And of course he immediately has a boner. You should see his face. The look on his face is he's just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
And I think that hooked him.
Yes.
He's like,
I really
do I want to be with Megan Fox or do I want to be with someone who has a 10-year-old kid?
No, it's true because all of this happened very quickly. I think Jessica was his number one. And then he hears about the daughter. I think that tripped him up. Mm-hmm. And then he hears about Chelsea and that tripped him up. And he comes back around and then he sees that. And then Chelsea drops this bomb. And I think that's what got stuck in his head. Megan Fox, Megan Fox, Megan Fox, Megan Fox, Megan Fox, and freedom. Because the two of them start talking about traveling.
Yeah.
I bet you she works for American Airlines because I recently flew American Airlines and their hub is Charlotte, I believe. Yeah, because I had to fly in and out of Charlotte many times. So I think that that got stuck in his head and he could not let that go. And the freedom to travel. He wants to travel. He wants to do things. Yeah. And he knows that with a 10-year-old, he can't do that.
Also, I think is he the one who said that he was raised in a lot of poverty and he's the first person in his family on either side of his family to go to college? I think that's him.
Is that him?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, okay. It could be. Yeah. I don't know. He had a whole story too about his oldest sister being adopted.
Yeah, but I also think I know he said he was the first person in his whole entire family to go to college. Mm-hmm. And I get the feeling that he grew up in poverty. He said, I mean, I guess I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Anyway, okay. So he has, you're right. Like he went to college. He has a good job. He has the money to travel. Mm-hmm. He's young. He doesn't want to start having kids right now. And he
and the thing is that, anyway, we can keep going, but okay. This was the moment in time where he really effed up and this was it.
But he didn't necessarily F up because he really didn't want Jessica. No matter what she looked like and no matter what Chelsea looked like, he did not want to basically be an instant father.
Yeah, but the problem was that, and I listen, it's possible that he did not know, right? Like it's possible that how do I say it? It's possible that he didn't recognize this about himself, but I feel like he knew this inside that he did not want this. He did not want to be a father and that he wanted freedom. And the minute he knew that, that's when he should have said something to Jessica. Mm-hmm. And he didn't. Yeah. I think he kept going. And that was the problem. Like he should have said to her, listen, I have some strong reservations about this. This is my fear. This is what I want. Let's talk through it. But he never said anything to her about that. Yeah, because that is, I don't think he's mature enough for that. And he also didn't want to look like an asshole. Yeah. He didn't want to look cold. Like, just because you have a, No, Jimmy's not, congratulations for graduating college, but he's not that smart, like just about life. Yeah. So anyway, Chelsea is also talking to this guy, Trevor. And I like Trevor. Trevor. Oh, no.
Like at first you look at him and you think he's like this meathead because he's huge. He's this big, tall, he looks like he's, 6'5" and he's like all muscle and he has a mullet. Mm-hmm. He's super cute, and he's just nice and sweet. Doesn't seem to have glaring issues like other people.
And he likes Chelsea instantly. He likes her, and it was funny too because his dog was named Chelsea. Her dog's named Trevor. They seem to get along and have a lot of connection. And he basically lays it out very early. Like he really likes her. She's his number one, and he wants her, and like he's just all in from moment one. He's all in.
Yeah. And so he's kind of out on the periphery, just waiting because, he's not talking to anybody else. He's just waiting to see what comes up with the stuff with Chelsea. And he also seems like he's friends with Jimmy. Yeah. In the men's quarters. And I think that they are talking to each other. They know, they both really like Chelsea. And they just seem to be very dignified about it. So he's just kind of sitting back waiting. Yeah. Now, in the meantime, Jimmy just continues to fuck with Chelsea and Jessica's minds. Mm-hmm. Did he tell Jessica he loved her? I know he told Chelsea.
No, he told Chelsea that. So he hadn't. So finally, Jessica makes this big proclamation and like gives him this note of this letter that she was going to write to her. That was a lot. And I was just like, Jessica,
this is inappropriate.
Yeah. So, and I think that overwhelmed him. And I think that, so she proclaims all this stuff and she tells him she loves him.
And she's just waiting for him.
Yeah.
She's just waiting for him to propose.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I think that freaked him out too.
Yeah. Well, that letter, it was a letter that she wrote in the past at some point to her future husband.
Yes.
And it's like 2 pages front and back, handwritten. And she gives it to the producer to give to him. And she asks him to read it out loud.
Yeah. Ugh.
And it's so awkward. And he gets through about like a half a page and then he just becomes overwhelmed. Yeah. And I don't blame him. Like he's had, he just couldn't do it. And then I started thinking, oh, Jessica.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too much.
And then he's so reactionary. Then he just runs over to Chelsea and tells her, I love you.
Yeah.
And she just can't believe it. I'm not sure if anyone's ever said that to her before. And she even told the
And she's been married.
Yeah. She was speechless. She's like on the floor sobbing after he tells her. And then she goes back to the women's quarters and she's telling everyone she can't believe it. She's like, usually men are so mean to me. And, I'm used to men just being mean to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God. Like she just keeps getting cringier and cringier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
Every scene that she's in.
Let me ask you this. Okay. So she does not announce this, but she goes back into the quarters and she whispers and says this to a few of the women that are her friends.
Mm-hmm.
That basically this is what he said. Laura and Jeremy goes over to Jessica and says, listen, you should just go. You need to go. Just leave. And Jessica's saying, what happened? What happened? What happened? She's just like, just, you should go. Do you think Laura did the right thing or you think Laura was in the right?
No.
Or in the wrong?
I think she was in the wrong. It's not her place to be interfering with what's going on. Mm-hmm. Because, Jimmy is so fickle. He could have proposed to Jessica the next day. Mm-hmm. Maybe. So what? He told Chelsea he loved her. You see these people. Sometimes they tell multiple people they love them. It's like, or the Bachelor. You know what I mean? It's like, she should not have interfered. She may have changed the course of
all of their lives.
Yes, of everyone's lives and what was supposed to happen. No. And that's why I don't know, but too many relationships get messed with because of what goes on with people talking to each other and telling each other what to do. Mm-hmm. And remember the last season where Lydia,
oh yeah, well that whole thing was a mess.
Uche, but she didn't tell the girl who's confiding in her and all. Actually, Lydia did the right thing and didn't say anything. But then when it came out, then she said too much.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I thought that was interesting. I was like, huh. And that's when in my back of my mind, I started thinking about Laura a little differently. I'm like, oh, whoa, all these balloons are coming up. It's weird reactions. But Laura is, that's what in the back of my mind, I thought Laura was I was like, oh, she's a little interesting. Like that she felt bold. You've known these people less than a week.
Yeah.
Like you're bold enough. Like this is not your best friend from childhood. That's a little different. But like you're all in this together. There's some unspoken rules and whoa, you're just controlling things.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I know. Yeah.
So that then spurs Jessica on. So Jessica gets wind that something's going on. And so then Jessica has her next date, her final date with Jimmy, and essentially reads him for filth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And says to him, that she is, she heard about this other thing and that she basically calls him on this and says that you knew that her child was an issue much earlier on. And you should have said something that you knew this was a problem. You knew this was an issue. There was something and maybe it wasn't so much about the child, but she was like, I've been over here pouring my heart out, telling you over and over and over again that you're my person. And there were many opportunities that you had to stop and say, hey, hold on, slow down.
Yeah. And she said, didn't she say you ruined this experience for me? But that's partially her fault because she decided she was just not going to see anyone else. She was not going to date anybody else, which was a mistake, because to just sit back and say, well, I pick you and I'm just going to wait over here till you propose to me. That's not guaranteed to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it was nice to see, because Jimmy's so annoying. It was nice to see her read him for filth. I mean, it was kind of like, oh, yeah, tell him. But at the same time, there were, I think this is just showing you a bit of his immaturity, right? Was the fact that he can't handle big things, that he does run away. And then he, like Clay, has to think about it and come back and then apologize. And that, yes, he did kind of know that this wasn't going to work for him. And that, he should have told her a lot earlier. Yeah. But it's a little bit of, this isn't Jimmy being diabolical, Jessica. This is Jimmy being an immature child. And I'm sorry, but you cannot blame other people for your experiences. It's a little bit of, you have control over this. You decided to put all your eggs in the Jimmy basket, and that's what happened. And I'm sorry, that was a big mistake.
Yeah.
And basically, she tells him, she's like, and you're going to be so upset when you see me.
Oh, and he is.
He is gonna be upset. We know he's going to be upset when you see me and see how good I look and all this kind of stuff. So anyway,
that she gives him the kiss off. He then immediately goes and proposes to Chelsea because what else is he going to do?
Yeah.
And so, and Trevor, this
poor Trevor.
Weird. So they both wanted to propose to her. And I don't know how the producers decided to do this, but somehow they let Jimmy go first. And because Chelsea is also so insecure, she's incredibly insecure.
Oh yeah, we see this in the DR very quickly.
It comes out quickly, but she's very, very, very insecure. So Jimmy gets to go first, and so she says yes because she doesn't know Trevor's gonna propose to her, and so I felt like she just said yes to the first person who asked. And then she meets with Trevor, and, she has to break it to him that, Jimmy proposed and she accepted, and he's heartbroken. And at one point he says, well, what would have happened if I would have went first? And I can't remember what her response was. I don't think she said anything.
Yeah, I don't think she would know.
I think she's thinking in her head, I just said yes because I had to have someone to say yes to, She was just kind of silent. Because she realized that he kind of caught her.
Yeah.
And that was
weird.
Sad.
Well, and the thing is that I think some of it was Jimmy asking her first. And did you notice that the other women all dress up for these proposals and she was not dressed up. Her. So she was not expecting it, or it seemed a little off. But anywho, I also think that she said yes to Jimmy because I think in her mind, and this is just how we work as people, that I think she automatically saw Jimmy as more desirable because he was desired by someone else as well. So Trevor's not as desirable because Trevor's been the steady guy. She says she loves a mullet. He has a mullet. You can see that there's a lot of these kind of things that you're like, oh, you two really seem to have, there's a reason why the both of you are here. That's interesting. And she never really truly explores that. She never allows herself to really, because I think that the feeling is that, oh, I need to be loved by this person who is so desired. So therefore I'm more desirable.
And I just think the whole thing happened so quickly. Yeah. And she just really she's not grounded, and she was just kind of flailing out there. So anyway, and same with Jimmy, they both kind of had the same haphazard, reaction to everything. But, they wanted to do this, So they see each other face to face for the first time, and lo and behold, the doors open, and it's not Megan Fox.
Yes, Jimmy really thought Megan Fox was going to be on the other side of that wall. He really did.
the Temu version of Megan Fox. Now that's mean. I don't look. Chelsea is she's a beautiful woman, girl. But she's not Megan Fox. She's also not like really super skinny and petite. Mm-hmm. She is a normal weight.
Yes. She's just fine.
She's like a normal average weight woman. But a lot of these women are like stick figures. And I think that's like Jessica.
And Jessica's teeny tiny. Yeah.
Yes. Jessica is, she does look like Megan Fox.
Yeah. She looks a lot more like Megan Fox.
If she had some more normal makeup on, she would look exactly like Megan Fox. She has the same hair. She's like tiny, petite little body. Anyway, that's what he wanted. And again, they go to hug and the camera like hones in on his face and his face is in shock.
Mm-hmm.
He has a look of shock on his, so awkward. And that again, his facial expressions, he cannot control. Mm-hmm. And they're all over the place. And like, Jimmy is not like some hot guy.
Yeah, no, he's not.
Which makes all of this kind of, like who do you think you are?
Yeah. Well, but Chelsea's like, oh, you're so cute. You're so handsome. You're so this, you're so that. I'm like, okay, he's all right. He's cute, but he's not like.
I don't even know if I would call him cute. I don't know.
I think in some circles he's cute.
Yeah.
I think that there's for some people that he is cute, but again, on the bench, he starts to F up already because he tells her while they're on the bench that he was almost going to, he does say something about like, she doesn't look like Megan Fox. I feel like that was in one of the things. And that he said that he almost went home that morning. Like it's been so hard because they both talk about how they both had to break up with this other person. And this has been so hard and we're here. And he's like, yeah, I know. I almost like left. And instantly, this is, instantly, Chelsea, that boom.
Yeah.
That sparked something in Chelsea.
Well, and as it should. That's an incredible thing to say. I almost went home this morning, but I didn't. So here I am, and I just proposed to you. That's going to make you question everything. And from that point on,
she did not feel safe.
All her insecurities, she kept asking him, well, do you love me? Are you sure? Do you like how I look? Are you sure? I mean, that was every conversation.
Mm-hmm.
From that point on.
And the other thing, it was. And then when they were in the DR, they were featured the most when they got to the DR was their dynamic and the stuff between the two of them. And they did talk about the Jessica situation and how it all ended up. And I think that all of that was very triggering for her, no matter what he said. I mean, there's a little bit of like, this is going to be upsetting for both of you. Like Trevor was interested in Chelsea, but she really is so anxious about, everything that he's saying the entire time. And then the second night that they're there, they everyone meets up. And unlike past years, it's interesting because all of the people that were part of these triangles that weren't picked are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first year, everybody who's there, no one had a love triangle with another person. So there was no like awkward moments. But I think that very quickly she got insecure because he started talking to AD. Jimmy was talking to AD and she made some sort of comment about AD's body. And Chelsea started it. I believe Chelsea said something about AD's body and then Jimmy agreed with her and then started talking to AD.
And then repeated it. He said he kind of, and AD is like a few feet away. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy says, hey, Chelsea just said, your AD's totally stacked.
Mm-hmm.
So he repeated it. He made it an issue. He drew AD in. He's, they're talking about her body, her backside. And she didn't seem to, I think she's proud of her body,
I think she is too. And
she didn't seem too bothered by it.
Yeah, she's wasn't.
She's not insecure about her body because she's like, squats and Jesus.
Yeah.
She's joking about it. But then Jimmy just makes a beeline over to AD.
Yeah. And they're really, that was like,
talking to her.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't think you two had chemistry, but.
Well, he's flirting. She's being polite. She doesn't like Jimmy. But I don't know if he's a little drunk, but he's literally flirting with her right in front of Chelsea. And AD is just kind of being polite, and she quickly tries to extricate herself from the situation because it's uncomfortable. So he just acted like so inappropriately.
Well, he acted inappropriately, but I also felt like, she really has a choice in that moment. Do you know what I mean? You have a choice in that moment, and she just, like, because she's so insecure, she can't muster anything inside of her to kind of be able to go, you know what? This is all new.
Yeah.
We can talk about this later. Let's have fun. We're here. All of that. What she did was she pouted in the corner.
Yeah.
She went into a corner and pouted. And basically she was like, everybody, because he didn't come and rescue her and go, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And do this whole thing with her. She was mad at him.
Yeah.
And she did that whole thing of like, read my mind. And Jimmy's not that smart. Like, Jimmy's not that with it, that he's going to be able to recognize what he did in that moment. And I just feel like, okay, you're making this a lot worse, Chelsea. You really are. And then there's one point at which Jimmy comes over, I think, and he's trying to talk to both AD and Chelsea and maybe one other person, maybe Brittany. And they talk about the comment, and AD's trying to explain to him, like, yeah, but it is disrespectful to Clay. If Clay is your friend, and he said, well, I didn't mean anything by it. And she's like, yeah, okay, but you're being disrespectful. Like, she kept trying to get him to see that, like, maybe this isn't the best.
Right.
And that's that maturity and sense of self that AD has versus Chelsea, is this ability to go, hold on a second. So I just felt like both of these two. And then it just keeps going into, once they like go back into the room and they're brushing their teeth and someone's mad and she's so upset. And at the same time, she makes her point to him, but I don't think he even gets it. But at the same time, she keeps hammering it and hammering it and hammering. It's like, okay, Chelsea. Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's a lot. She's so sensitive. She gets basically everything that comes out of his mouth, she's upset about. She needs constant validation. She's always saying, do you love me? Do you love me? Are you sure? I mean, oh God. I mean, I wouldn't like that either. Jimmy is he's tolerating it, but and then he's telling all the bros, he's like, oh yeah, everything's great. We're great. They don't have a chance in hell.
Oh yeah.
They don't have a chance in hell.
And then there was another comment that was made about AD's body, about AD and bean dip. And I didn't quite get what that was.
Oh.
And that was Laura. So Laura said something, I think, in private to Jeremy, or she said it joking and then Jeremy repeated it and it became a whole huge thing.
Well, yeah.
And I don't know what that meant about bean dip.
Well, I didn't either until I was listening to Reality Gaze.
Oh, okay. And I haven't listened to them yet. I like to record first, have my own opinions first.
Matt was very familiar with it. Maybe it's a Southern thing. I don't know.
Okay, what does that mean?
So bean dip is where you walk up to someone, and it could be male or female. It doesn't matter. And you like flick the person's nipple.
What?
Yeah. yeah.
What?
And it's called bean dip. And so I guess the women would do that to each other in the women's quarters.
Okay.
I don't know what else is going on.
So weird. There. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's an inside joke with the women.
Yeah, I knew it was an inside joke, but I didn't think it was about flicking each other's nipples.
That's the thing. And then Matt went on to describe some other things. One of the things is called nachos, and that's like giving someone a wedgie.
What?
And then there's
that's nachos?
I think so.
That's weird.
Queso.
Queso?
I don't know. I'm a California girl. I have never heard these things. I've never heard these.
Oh my gosh. But why do you want to flick someone's nipples? That's the one I think is very odd. So, okay. So now things are becoming clearer. So they were joking about this. And then I think Jeremy repeated it.
Right. He repeated, I think so. So what Laura said to Jeremy, oh, go tell them this. You know, she's trying to do something funny. I don't even know if Jeremy knows what it means.
Yeah.
I don't think he does.
Yeah.
And so then he goes over and he says that to
AD.
I don't know. There's like a group of people. And then Chelsea got upset about that. And it was like, oh, God, you're really pushing it here.
Was she the one that was upset about that? But then Laura got in trouble because Jeremy got mad at Laura.
Oh, for setting him up.
For setting him up because he then looks bad. And I think that he felt like now I'm disrespecting Clay.
Did he say it to AD? I thought he was saying it to all of them. I don't know.
I think he was saying it to AD. I think all the women are very insecure about AD. And
so Laura's trying to mess with AD. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. See, and that's why I think that Laura is not, I don't think she's these people's friends.
She's a shitster.
Yeah, she's a shitster. And she likes to be the queen. She likes to be that you tell this person, I'm just kidding, Jeremy. And we see very clearly, very quickly that easygoing Jeremy with an A is not so easygoing. That like he has problems. And so we're day 2 of this vacation. We haven't even gotten back to Charlotte and things are eroding.
I can't wait to watch. I think that the next 3 episodes have already dropped.
No. I thought it wasn't until next week.
Tess, this came out like a week ago. It came out last Friday.
On Wednesday. It came out on Wednesday the 14th.
Oh, Valentine's Day?
They're not going to drop anything until next Wednesday.
Okay.
They can't do this to us.
Oh, I thought because they used to do it on Friday nights. That was a great way to start out,
the weekend. Yeah.
I can't wait. It's going to be a good season. So
I'm on Netflix right now. I'm like, wait, hold on. Whoa.
Give us an update. So the next release,
I believe the 21st? The 21st will be the next. So that's the problem for everyone who's listening to this. This will be we're recording this ahead of time. So this will be,
but it's already come out. What we just
it's already come out.
Already out.
It's already. We're going to be a week behind. Essentially, we're going to be a week behind.
No, we won't be. We'll be like a half a week behind. No, because then the episode comes. Never mind.
So listen to us try to figure out time.
Time in podcasting is like
it's very difficult.
It's another dimension.
Yes. Trying to trying to watch all these shows and get them out and all that kind of stuff. And then you're like, oh, wait a second.
You're talking like it's the past and it's really the future. Okay.
So really quick
predictions.
Quick predictions. Johnny and Amy will make it.
Yes.
I think they will make it. And
they have the highest odds.
Probably.
We'll say that.
Kenneth and Brittany, we do see some issues with them, but I think that if it's, if it can work itself out, I think they might make it work.
I don't have enough information about them yet to really say if I think it might work out. I'm hopeful, but I just feel like of all the couples, we got the least time with them.
Yes.
And the least information about them. So I need to know more.
But I definitely, Laura and Jeremy are a big no.
No.
And I'm praying AD wakes up. I would not be surprised if Jimmy and Chelsea went through with it.
Really?
If they make it. But I really don't. I don't.
No.
I just feel like every year one couple that you're like, really? You guys did it? Okay. There's always one that we thought was so dysfunctional, and then it turns out it was much better.
I think that's going to be AD and Clay.
Oh, okay.
I think that if he's receptive to therapy and receptive to change, and he really, because I really do think he loves her. You know what I mean? I
think he loves what she will give him, which is a mommy, validation, and some kind of structure. Because I think that probably he gets maybe from his own mommy and maybe from the people around him. Hey, Clay, you're 30. What's going on? Are you going to settle down? Are you going to be dad?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think this is all about his fight against not wanting to be his father. So in his mind, if I get married, if I settle down to this beautiful woman, I'm a king, she's a queen. I think in his mind, he thinks everything that will make me not want to cheat. And I think he'll be cheating right away. Well,
I'm going to hold out hope for them.
Okay.
Because
I think AD just deserves so much better. I really do.
Well, I mean, I'm reserving judgment.
Okay.
But Chelsea and Jimmy, absolutely not.
Okay. There's always an outlier.
There's always an outlier.
So it might be Clay.
Remember Lydia and Marshall? I think they're still together. I mean, some of these people.
Oh, Lydia and is that his name? Marshall?
Was that his name?
It was a really goofy. Milton.
With the M. Yeah. I think they're still together. And everyone's going, what the, huh? So? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. There's always this couple that it's like, once you find out in the reunion, you're like, oh, you're a bit more normal than we thought you were. They made you out to be a little bit crazier. But anyway, you're right. It may be AD and anywho. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this podcast, if you haven't already, please give us a 5-star rating and review. It really does help us out. And, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and go follow us on Psychlegal Pop at Instagram and TikTok. And I think, is that it? Is that all the information? Tell a friend, spread the word of Psychlegal Pop wherever you can. And we have, Tuesdays we're continuing our coverage of Sister Wives. And then Thursdays we're going to be covering Love is Blind and some other things along the way. So, yeah.
Okay.
We'll see you all next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.